Hello, it's the fifth Sunday in Easter, and our reading today is out of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 12 to 17. Now, the beginning of this passage is a thanksgiving by Paul for what God has done in the Thessalonians. And the bit at the end is an intercession that God will continue to work in the Thessalonians. There's only one instruction in this passage, and it's right in the middle. And that is for the Thessalonian church to hold fast to the traditions that they have been given, both by word, the spoken word, and by epistle, by the written word that Paul has written to them. And sometimes we miss the importance of this because we think that the things that have been given to us by God are only those things that have been written down for us in the Scriptures. That with all of the teaching that Jesus gave, and the 3 years the apostles spent with him, and as they transmitted that to the church, that all that really was left is those bits in the Gospels and the epistles. But in fact, the apostles handed down much more information than that. They handed down tradition by their word and by the things that they wrote. And the things that they spoke, we call the apostolic tradition. And that's how we understand the written word in terms of the apostolic tradition. And you might ask, well, how do we know what that apostolic tradition is? Well, the key definition for that was given to us by a guy named Vincent of Laurent. And he said, we believe that which has been believed always, everywhere, and by all. Now, he's writing before the year 1000. He's writing before the church has divided. So if we look back to the undivided church, to the early church, and say, what did they believe about these things? That instructs us. Did they always believe this? Did all the church fathers believe the same things about everything? No. But where do we find that thread of truth carrying out throughout all of those things? And that gives us confidence in how the apostles handed those things down. And so we have to give great deference to that. And not to groups that think they rediscovered it all in the 16th century or the 17th century or the 19th century, and the many groups out of the Great Awakening, restorationists and others who think that they found and restored the apostolic truth, but actually going back in church history, going back to the writings of the fathers and saying, what did the early church actually believe about these things? How did they practice these things? And that has to be the rule by which we go by. That's the greatest authority that we have in interpreting the written things that were handed down by the apostles, the epistles, the gospels, is the traditions that they handed down by their word that carried on through the church. So I want to encourage you with that today, to go back and understand what the church has believed always, everywhere, and by all. And in there, you'll find the voice of the Holy Spirit continuing in and through the church, because Jesus told the apostles that the Holy Spirit would guide them in all truth. And they transmitted that truth through their word as they went all around the world, the known world. And then as they wrote a few things down that the Holy Spirit has preserved for us as well. I encourage you with that today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.